The black sea of space stretched forever, quiet and cold. In that silence a great fleet moved forward. The Zor had come. Their ships were smooth like silver blades, thousands of them, all lined together in a proud formation. For the Zor this was not the first invasion. They had already crushed many weaker races, bending them under their command. To them it was simple. They arrived, they showed their numbers, and soon the enemy bowed. The Zor believed humans would be no different. The leaders of the fleet spoke with confidence, telling their crews that Earth was young, full of noisy beings who still fought each other for land and power. They thought humans had no chance against a true star empire. Inside the flagship of the Zor commander sat General Kor. His voice was sharp as he addressed his officers. We move into the Sol system. Earth will fall quickly. The humans will see our fleet and give up. His words carried no doubt. Around him the other officers nodded. They had seen this pattern repeat many times. Why should this be any different? Yet even as they spoke, some among the younger Zor officers felt a strange unease. Reports about humans were not as clear as they wished. Some stories told that humans were clever and stubborn. Others warned that humans had a history of fighting harder when pushed. But these quiet doubts were brushed aside. General Kor laughed at the idea of resistance. The fleet entered the edge of the Sol system, where the sun's light touched the icy rocks of the Kuiper belt. One by one their ships powered up weapons and shields. Scouts moved forward, scanning the system. On their screens they saw planets lined like guards around the bright sun. Small stations floated in orbit, belonging to humans. These were marked as unimportant. On Earth, however, the news of the Zor fleet was no surprise. Human astronomers had tracked their approach for weeks. Warnings were sent to every city, every leader, and every base in space. The United Council of Earth had already gathered. Nations that once argued now spoke with one voice. At the center of this response was Captain Myra, a woman with steady eyes and strong calm. Myra stood inside the command center of Earth's defense. Around her screens showed moving points of light, each one a Zor ship. She listened to the reports from her officers. One said, "The fleet is massive, Captain. Our satellites count thousands. Their weapons outnumber ours." Myra nodded. "We knew this day would come. They think numbers are enough. But they do not understand humans." A young officer asked quietly, "Do you think they will attack right away?" Myra answered, "No. First they will expect surrender. That is how they always begin. But we will not give them what they want." As she spoke those words her heart carried both fear and fire. She knew the Zor had never faced a race like humanity. Humans had always fought for survival, against nature, against hunger, against each other, and against the void of space itself. That struggle had built something inside them, something the Zor could not see. The Zor scouts moved closer, entering the orbit of Mars. They scanned for fleets but found only smaller human vessels, nothing compared to their mighty Armada. General Kor felt pleased. "Weak," he said. "This will be easy." His officers cheered. But one scout ship sent back a strange report. It said that humans had built something large, hidden far in the system. The signal was cut off before more could be said. Kor dismissed it. "A human trick. They try to scare us. We will see the truth soon enough." Back on Earth Myra prepared her final warning. She sent a clear message to the Zor fleet. Her voice echoed across channels in calm, simple words. "This is Earth. We will not kneel. Leave our system now or face the strength of humanity." Her message reached the Zor flagship. The officers laughed. They thought her words were empty. Kor smiled coldly and said, "They are children pretending to be strong. When they see our full power they will fall silent." But in that moment something unspoken passed between humans and Zor. For the first time the invaders faced a world that would not beg for peace, would not lower its head. The Zor continued their march toward Earth, blind to the storm waiting for them. And so the stage was set. The mighty Zor fleet pressed deeper into the Sol system, confident of victory. On Earth, Captain Myra and her people stood ready, holding their breath for the coming clash. The first steps of the war had been taken, and the fate of both races would soon be decided under the light of the sun. The Zor fleet moved slowly through the darkness of space, filling the Black Sea with a line of silver lights. They looked like a river of fire stretching across the stars. Their commanders felt no fear, only pride. They had conquered before and believed Earth would soon be just another trophy. On Earth, Captain Myra stood before the great screen in the Defense Command Hall. The room was alive with voices, each officer reporting updates about the movement of the Zor fleet. Lines of data scrolled down, showing speed, numbers, and distance. Every time the screen refreshed, the Zor ships came closer. Myra's face was calm, though inside her heart carried a storm. She knew what was coming, yet she also knew that humanity had prepared for this moment. Across Earth, cities had gone silent. Power grids had been shifted to defense systems. Space stations that once studied science now pointed their sensors toward the threat. Every nation had set aside old rivalries. For the first time in history, humanity stood together as one. Still, Myra remembered the message she had sent to the Zor fleet. She had spoken with clear words, telling them Earth would not kneel. But the reply from the Zor had been nothing but silence, followed by the movement of their armada. They had ignored her warning. A young officer stepped forward and said, "Captain, the Zor are scanning every planet. They already dismissed Mars and the moons of Jupiter. They are looking for weaknesses." Myra nodded. "Let them search. What they find will not give them peace." Another officer added, "Captain, should we send more ships to intercept them?" Myra shook her head. "No. We cannot throw small vessels at their wall of fire. They would be crushed before they even reached the enemy. We must wait for the right moment." Her words settled over the room like a heavy blanket. Everyone knew what she meant. Humanity's plan did not depend on numbers. It depended on something greater, something the Zor could not imagine. Meanwhile, far above Earth, the Zor flagship carried the voice of General Kor. He stood in the center of his command deck, his dark eyes fixed on the glowing screen of the Sol system. He pointed at Earth's position and spoke with pride. "That blue world will soon belong to us. The humans will bow when they see the size of our fleet. If they resist, we will burn their defenses and take what we wish." His officers agreed, but one younger commander spoke carefully. "General, we have studied their history. Reports say humans are not easy to break. They fight even when hope is gone. Perhaps we should consider Kor cut him off with a sharp hand." "Enough. You speak of fear. Fear has no place among the Zor. These humans are nothing more than noise. Their technology is weak, their fleets are small, and their courage means nothing before our fire. We will end this quickly." The room fell silent. None dared to question him again. At the same time, deep inside the hidden shipyards of Earth, engineers and crews worked on something vast. The Titan rested there, covered in shadows. It was a warship unlike anything humanity had ever built. Its armor shone black and silver, its engines were alive with a pulse of power, and its cannons lined its hull like silent giants waiting for a command. Every worker who saw it felt the same thing, a mix of fear and pride. They whispered among themselves. Some called it Earth's shield, others called it Earth's sword. To Captain Myra, it was both. It was the answer to the Zor fleet, the message that words could not deliver. But for now the Titan remained hidden. Humanity waited for the right moment to reveal its strength. In the command hall, Myra studied the reports again. Her eyes followed the movement of the Zor fleet as it crossed the orbit of Jupiter. She spoke to her officers in a steady voice. "They ignore our words. They think we are weak. That is good. Let them believe it. When the time comes, the truth will stop them. Her second officer asked, and if they reach Earth before then? Myra answered, then we will stand. Even if Earth falls, humanity will not disappear. The Zor will learn that we do not break. They will remember our name. As the Zor fleet continued its march, small human vessels tracked them from the shadows, unseen. These scouts sent quiet streams of information back to Earth. Every detail was recorded, every movement studied. Humanity would not fight blind. In the Zor flagship, General Kor laughed again. He ordered his ships to prepare for the next step. Send our demand to Earth, he commanded. Tell them they must surrender. Tell them they must open their cities and give us their world. If they refuse, we will show them the fire of the Zor. And so the demand was sent. A message filled with pride and threat. It reached Earth's command hall, where officers listened in silence. The voice of the Zor carried no mercy. When the message ended, all eyes turned to Captain Myra. She stood tall and answered in one clear sentence. We are not afraid. Her words were broadcast back across space, carried into the ears of the Zor leaders. Some of them sneered, but others fell into uneasy silence. There was something in her voice they had not expected. A tone that did not shake. The Zor fleet ignored her strength and pressed forward. They thought humanity was only pretending. They did not know that something waited for them, hidden in the dark. The silence of space was heavy. Both sides knew the next move would decide the future. Humanity's warning had been ignored, but the lesson was still to come. The Zor fleet passed Jupiter with confidence. Their ships formed long lines, engines glowing like fireflies against the endless dark. Each commander believed the humans would soon surrender. They saw no human fleet standing against them. To them it seemed Earth had already given up. General Kor stood at the center of the flagship bridge, his hands resting behind his back. His eyes followed the holographic display of the Sol system. The humans are silent, he said. They are hiding, but it will not save them. Soon they will learn what it means to face the Zor. His officers cheered at his words, yet not all were certain. Among them was Commander Tal, younger than most, sharp-eyed, and less sure of their easy victory. He watched the scans carefully and noticed small irregular readings from deep space. When he tried to report them, General Kor dismissed him with a wave. Static, Kor said. The humans cannot build anything large. Stop wasting time. But Tal's unease grew. The signals were faint but steady, as if something large moved in the shadows near Jupiter's orbit. Meanwhile, far away in Earth's hidden base near the great planet, the Titan waited. It was a warship so massive that it dwarfed anything humanity had ever built before. Its hull stretched longer than a city, layered with strange armor that reflected little light. Engines the size of towers hummed with silent power. Along its sides rested rows of weapons that had never been tested in true battle. The Titan was more than a machine. It was the symbol of a united Earth. Inside the Titan, Captain Myra walked the long command deck. Officers stood at their stations, watching screens that displayed the movement of the Zor fleet. Every heart beat fast, but none turned away. They all knew their ship would soon be seen. An officer said, "Captain, the Zor are moving closer. Their sensors are reaching the sector." Myra looked out through the wide view screen where Jupiter's storms glowed red and white. Beyond the planet's edge the Zor fleet advanced like a swarm. She gave a simple command. Hold position. Let them see us when it is time. Back in the Zor flagship, Commander Tal's station lit up again. His eyes widened as the scan formed a shape. It was no asteroid, no random shadow. It was a ship, enormous in size, resting in silence near the gas giant. He turned quickly to General Kor. "General, you must see this. There is something ahead. It is not one of ours, and it is far larger than any human vessel we know." Kor frowned and stepped forward. The display revealed the faint outline of the Titan. Its massive body drifted in the darkness like a sleeping giant. Kor's eyes narrowed. Impossible. The humans could not build this. The bridge of the Zor flagship fell silent. Officers leaned closer to their screens, their pride shaken. For the first time, doubt slipped into their thoughts. The Titan began to move. Slowly, its engines lit up, glowing with a steady white fire. The ship turned with a grace that did not match its size. As the light touched its armored hull, the Zor saw the full form of the warship. It was larger than any craft in their fleet, its design sharp and unyielding. The Zor fleet halted. Ships that had been moving in proud formation suddenly froze. Their commanders whispered among themselves. No one wanted to give the order to advance. On the Titan, Myra stood tall. "Open the external lights," she commanded. The warship lit up, bright lines of blue and white running across its body. It was no longer hidden. It revealed itself as the shield of humanity. Every Zor ship had a clear view of it. A murmur spread through the Zor officers. "What is this?" How could they? The words stumbled out, half disbelief and half fear. General Kor clenched his fists. "Do not be afraid. It is only one ship. One ship cannot stop us." But even he felt the weight of the sight before him. The Titan was not only a ship. It was a message. It spoke without words. It told the Zor that humans would not fall. On the Titan's deck the officers waited for Myra's next words. She looked at them and spoke quietly but firmly. "They wanted to see our weakness. Instead, they will see our strength." Her words carried across the command deck, calming the fear in her crew. Each person felt the same fire rising inside them. The Zor fleet, which had never once hesitated before a battle, remained frozen. Their weapons stayed silent. Their engines dimmed as though they feared to move closer. For the first time in their long history of conquest, they faced something unknown. The Titan, a single warship of humanity, stood against thousands. Yet its presence alone was enough to make the invaders pause. In the stillness of space, two forces watched each other. The Zor, proud conquerors, stared at the impossible creation of a young world. The humans, united and unbroken, prepared to defend their home. The shadow had lifted. The Titan was revealed. And the war that would decide the fate of Earth had truly begun. The silence of space pressed heavy on the Zor fleet. Thousands of alien ships floated still, their crews staring at the massive form of the Titan. It drifted with calm strength near Jupiter, its black armor shining faintly under the sunlight. To the Zor it looked less like a vessel and more like a mountain that had come alive. General Kor stood on the bridge of his flagship, his jaw tight. He refused to show fear, though inside his heart raced faster than he wished. "It is only one ship," he told his officers. "Do not forget that. We are thousands. They are one." Yet none of his words gave comfort. Around him his commanders whispered to each other. They could see the truth with their own eyes. This was not a simple vessel. It was something no species had ever dared to build. The Titan's engines glowed brighter. Slowly the warship rotated until its broadside faced the Zor fleet. Along its length, giant cannons rested like sleeping beasts. Rows of smaller weapons lined its surface, each one ready to awaken. And in the center of the hull, a great emblem shone, the United Star of Earth. On the Titan, Captain Myra watched the alien fleet with steady eyes. Her officers stood tense at their stations, waiting for her command. Every heartbeat felt heavy, yet every soul on board shared the same thought. They were not afraid to be seen. An officer spoke. "Captain, they have stopped moving. Their weapons remain cold." Myra answered, "Good. Let them see us. Let them know what humanity has built." Another officer asked, "Do we fire first?" Myra shook her head. "No. The Titan is not here to start the battle. The Titan is here to remind them that Earth is not weak. Her words spread across the command deck, filling the crew with calm. They were inside a warship like none other, and their captain carried no fear. If she could face the Zor without trembling, so could they. Back in the Zor flagship, Commander Tal struggled to keep his voice level as he spoke to General Kor. General, that ship, it should not exist. Our records say humans are behind us in technology. This is beyond what they should be able to build. Kor glared at him. Enough. Do not speak weakness in my hall. It is one ship, no matter its size. But even as he said those words, his own eyes betrayed him. The Titan filled the screens, its vast shadow swallowing the stars. It was too large, too steady, too bold. The younger Zor officers whispered among themselves. They had conquered many races, yet none had ever shown them such a sight. Most worlds had begged for mercy. Others had fallen after a brief fight. None had built a warship that stood like a silent challenge before them. The Titan's lights grew brighter, shining across the dark like a beacon. The ship did not move forward. It did not fire a single shot. Yet its message was clear. Humanity was not hiding. Humanity was ready. Inside the Titan, Myra gave a new order. Broadcast a signal to all channels. Let every Zor hear us. Her voice carried out through the void, translated into the alien tongue. This is Earth. You came with fire and threats. You thought we would kneel. Look now at what stands before you. This is Titan, the warship of humanity. If you strike us, we will strike back. If you move forward, we will meet you. We are not afraid of you. The message reached every ship in the Zor fleet. Crews who once cheered for conquest now sat in silence, listening to a voice that carried no fear. Some gripped their controls tightly, as though expecting destruction to rain upon them. On the Zor flagship, General Kor slammed his hand against the rail. Arrogance. They think one ship can stand against us. They will learn their mistake. But though he spoke with anger, his officers did not answer with the same fire. Their eyes stayed locked on the image of the Titan. Something about the human warship shook them in ways they could not explain. Commander Tal whispered softly, "Perhaps this is not arrogance, General. Perhaps this is belief. Perhaps they built that ship not because they thought they could win easily, but because they knew they had no other choice." Kor snapped, "Enough. Ready the fleet. We will show them the power of the Zor." Yet even as his orders echoed, the Zor fleet did not move. Captains hesitated. Crews froze. The will to advance was lost. The sight of the Titan had struck deeper than any weapon. In the command deck of the Titan, Myra stood silent, her eyes fixed on the alien formation. She could see their hesitation. She could feel their fear. "They understand now," she said softly. "They know this is not the same as their past conquests." Her officers nodded. Hope grew stronger in their hearts. For the first time, they believed that Earth had a chance. The standoff stretched long and quiet. No shot was fired, no ship advanced. But in that stillness, a truth was born. The Titan had revealed itself, and with it, humanity had revealed its spirit. For the Zor, this was the first time they felt doubt. For the humans, it was the first time they felt equal to the stars. The warship had spoken without words. And the universe would never forget the day it appeared. The void between the Titan and the Zor fleet was filled with silence. Thousands of alien ships faced one human warship, yet none moved. Their engines glowed faintly, their weapons remained cold. What should have been an easy advance turned into a pause that no one expected. On the Titan, Captain Myra stood tall at the center of her command deck. Her officers waited for her voice, but she gave no order to fire. Instead, she allowed the silence to work. The Titan itself was the message. Its size, its power, and its calm presence spoke louder than any shot. One officer said, "Captain, They are frozen. Should we take this chance to strike? Myra shook her head. No. We do not fire first. If they want this war, they must begin it. Let them face the weight of their own choice. Her words filled the crew with both tension and pride. They knew they were facing thousands, but they also knew they were part of something larger than numbers. They were part of humanity's first great stand. Meanwhile, inside the Zor flagship, General Kor glared at the image of the Titan. The warship filled the screen, its glowing engines bright against the dark. Why do they not attack? He demanded. His voice cut across the bridge. They have only one ship. Why do they not strike while they still have a chance? None of his officers answered. Many of them could not take their eyes away from the Titan. The warship looked alive, steady, and unshaken. The Zor had expected weakness, but what they saw was unbreakable will. Commander Tal finally spoke with careful words. General, perhaps they do not need to fire. Perhaps they believe their strength is enough to hold us here. And maybe they are right. Kor slammed his hand down. Do not speak fear. We are the Zor. We have crushed empires far greater than this. We cannot be held by a single vessel. Yet his words did not move his officers. The fleet remained still, and the crews whispered in fear. For the first time, hesitation spread through the Zor like a shadow. On the Titan, Myra gave a quiet command. Send a signal to all human channels. Tell every city, every station, and every ship what we see here. Let Earth know that the Zor have stopped. Her words carried across human networks, and soon billions on Earth watched through their screens. They saw the mighty fleet that had come to conquer. They saw the Titan standing alone before it. And they saw the Zor frozen in place. A wave of hope swept across the planet. In the command hall of Earth, leaders gathered to watch the live stream. Many whispered in awe. For the first time in history, all nations saw themselves as one people. They were no longer divided. The Titan had become their shield, their voice, their proof that humanity could stand against the stars. Back in the Zor flagship, the officers grew restless. Some suggested a retreat, others begged for an attack to break the silence. General Kor looked around and saw fear in their eyes. It made his pride burn with anger. You are cowards, he shouted. We will advance. Give the order to move. But when the order reached the fleet, many captains hesitated. Some ships powered down weapons. Others froze completely. They did not want to be the first to face the Titan's wrath. The standoff grew heavier. Both sides waited for the first shot, yet none came. Time stretched long, measured only by the hum of engines and the steady pulse of the Titan's lights. Inside the Titan, Myra watched closely. Her second officer leaned closer and whispered, Captain, if they attack, we may not survive. Myra looked at him, her eyes steady. If we fall, Earth will rise again. That is what they must understand. Even if the Titan is destroyed, humanity will fight until the last. That is why we built this ship. Not just to win, but to show them we will never bow. Her words spread across the deck. Fear still lived in their hearts, but it no longer ruled them. They felt pride in standing on the Titan, pride in being part of history. In the Zor flagship, the silence grew unbearable. Officers looked at General Kor, waiting for a command. But even he found no easy answer. His pride told him to order an attack, yet his instincts whispered that this warship was more dangerous than it looked. Commander Tal spoke again, his voice steady. General, we came expecting weakness. What we see is strength. If we attack now, we may win, but we will pay a price greater than we expect. Perhaps it is wiser to wait. Kor's fists clenched. He wanted victory, yet he could not ignore the fear that had spread across his fleet. The Titan had done what no enemy had ever done, it had stopped the Zor. And so the standoff continued. Two great forces faced each other across the darkness of space. Neither moved, neither fired. Yet in that silence, humanity had already gained something precious. The Zor had seen them, and for the first time in their history, the invaders did not advance. The Titan stood alone, yet it carried the weight of a world behind it. And in that moment, Earth discovered its power. The silence of the void remained unbroken as the Titan hovered near Jupiter, its enormous hull gleaming under the distant sunlight. Thousands of Zor ships waited, unmoving, their engines barely glowing. The sight of a single human warship had frozen them in place, but the Titan was far more than its size. It carried the will of an entire planet, and that will was about to speak. Captain Myra stood at the center of the command deck. Her uniform was simple, her posture steady, but her eyes held the fire of humanity itself. Around her, officers and crew watched, each knowing the moment was crucial. They were not just a warship, they were a symbol of Earth's unity and strength. Myra spoke calmly, her voice carrying across the ship's communication channels. Prepare the transmission. Send a message to the Zor fleet. Her officers moved quickly, adjusting antennas and targeting arrays. The Titan had advanced systems capable of translating human language into the alien tongue, ensuring that every Zor ship could hear it. The crew held their breath as the transmission began. This is Captain Myra of Earth, her voice echoed across the void. You have entered our system with threats and fire. You thought we would kneel. You thought we would hide. Look at what stands before you. This is Titan, the warship of humanity. We are not weak. We do not beg for mercy. We fight, and we will not stop. If you attack, we will meet you. If you try to take our world, we will show you the strength of a united species. Remember this moment. You are not facing one human. You are facing all of us. The message traveled through the vacuum of space, reaching the ears of every Zor officer. The silence that followed was heavier than any gunfire. Some Zor whispered to one another, afraid to speak too loudly. Many had never encountered an enemy who spoke with such certainty, yet carried no fear. General Kor's dark eyes burned with fury as he listened. How dare they speak like this, he shouted. They are only one ship. We are thousands. Crush them. Strike now. But even as he gave the command, doubt rippled through his fleet. Officers looked at each other, unease spreading. The Titan was enormous, yes, but more importantly, it seemed to embody something the Zor had never faced before. Determination. Belief. A strength beyond technology. Commander Tal leaned close to the general and spoke softly. General, they do not need to fire to terrify us. Look at our fleet. Many of them hesitate. They are afraid. Kor glared at him. Afraid? No. Fear is weakness. The Zor do not know fear. Yet even as he said it, his own hands tightened on the control rails. The image of the Titan remained on the screen, massive and calm. Its engines glowed with a quiet power that suggested it could move faster than any Zor ship imagined. On the Titan, Myra gave another order. Engage the engines. Move into formation. Let them see we are ready to act. Slowly, the Titan began to drift forward. Its massive body cut through the dark with precision, engines glowing brighter with every movement. The warship was no longer merely a symbol, it was now a force in motion. The Zor fleet reacted immediately. Ships that had frozen now trembled. Captains argued with their crews, unsure whether to advance or retreat. Their pride urged them forward, but instinct whispered danger. This single ship, one human vessel, had caused hesitation in thousands of seasoned soldiers. Myra watched the reactions on her screens. She saw the fear growing, the uncertainty spreading through their ranks. It was a moment she had waited for. Humanity did not need to destroy the fleet yet. All it needed was to show that it would not back down. Hold the forward shields at maximum, she ordered. Weapons remain ready, but do not fire. Let them see what happens when they face determination. Every officer on the Titan understood the strategy. This was not only a test of firepower but a test of will. They moved with precision, a single organism acting with one thought, to show that humanity could not be broken. The Zor fleet had no choice but to watch. For the first time, an enemy did not flee, but did not yield either. Their pride was challenged. Their assumptions shattered. And as the Titan moved steadily toward them, its presence alone sent a clear message: humanity was ready to defend its home, no matter the odds. On the Titan's bridge, Myra spoke one final time before the standoff reached its peak. "Remember this," she said softly. "We do not fight for glory. We fight because we must. And when others see our resolve, they will know why humans endure." Her words carried through the ship, touching every heart. The crew of the Titan felt the weight of history upon them, yet they felt hope as well. Humanity's moment had arrived. The Zor fleet remained frozen in space, unsure how to respond. Engines glowed, weapons stayed cold, and pride fought with fear in every officer's heart. In the distance, the Titan moved closer, not with aggression, but with quiet certainty. Its presence alone had shifted the balance. The war that would shape the future of Earth and the stars had begun. But the first battle was not of fire or destruction. It was of strength, courage, and the undeniable will of a species that refused to bow. Humanity had spoken. And the Zor would remember it forever. The void of space remained heavy and silent as the Titan drifted steadily toward the Zor fleet. The alien ships, once confident and proud, now hovered like frozen giants. Their engines flickered, weapons remained idle, and tension ran through every bridge and corridor of the massive Armada. For the first time in their history, the Zor did not know how to act. Captain Myra stood at the center of the Titan's command deck, her eyes scanning the fleet through the wide viewing screen. She saw hesitation and doubt written on every alien face that appeared on their communication feeds. Her heart beat steadily, but inside she felt the pride of humanity. This was the moment they had waited for, the moment when Earth's courage became visible across the stars. An officer leaned close and whispered, "Captain, they are not moving. None of them are advancing." Myra nodded calmly. "Good. Let them feel the weight of their choice. Fear is a stronger weapon than fire. Do not fire. Let them see the truth." Even as she spoke, small gestures in the Zor fleet revealed the effect of her strategy. Ships shifted nervously, and pilots exchanged hesitant signals. For the first time, pride faltered in the face of resolve. The Zor were used to quick victories, to enemies surrendering before a fight began. Yet this single human warship had caused hesitation in thousands of soldiers, and fear began to creep into their hearts. General Kor pounded his fist against the railing of his bridge. "Advance! Attack now," he shouted. "Do not let this ship mock us." Commander Tal, standing near him, shook his head slowly. "General, they are not mocking us. They are showing strength. Our fleet is vast, yes, but this human warship carries more than steel. It carries purpose, courage, and a will we have never faced. Perhaps we should reconsider our approach." Kor's face darkened. He hated doubt. He hated hesitation. But even he could not ignore what the Titan had done. It had frozen his fleet in place, had spoken without firing a single weapon, and had made the Zor question their certainty of victory. On the Titan, Captain Myra gave her next command. "Prepare the forward shields for maximum output. Keep weapons ready, but do not fire. Maintain position and let them see that we are ready for anything." Her crew obeyed instantly. Every officer knew that this was not merely a battle of ships, but a battle of will. Every heartbeat on the Titan echoed with determination. Humanity would not be broken, and now the Zor had to see it clearly. The Zor fleet shifted uneasily. Ships began minor movements, testing the space ahead, but no one dared approach too closely. Pride told them to attack. Instinct told them to wait. The Titan moved steadily, its massive engines glowing like twin stars. The sheer presence of the warship made even the most confident Zor officers hesitate. General Kor's voice rang across the flagship. They are only one ship. Strike now. Yet Commander Tal spoke calmly. General, if we strike, we may win in numbers, but we will pay a cost greater than we expect. They are not merely a warship. They are humanity itself. Perhaps we should reconsider. Retreat may be wiser than rash attack. Kor's fists clenched, but his pride would not allow him to ignore the truth. The Titan had shown the Zor a force they had never faced, and every attempt to dismiss it only deepened their uncertainty. As the Titan advanced a few more kilometers, a change came over the fleet. Some ships began to shift backward slightly, engines dimming as if yielding to the reality before them. Others remained frozen, unsure whether to follow or to fight. Captain Myra's voice was calm yet firm as she addressed the Zor fleet through the communication channels once more. We do not wish to destroy you if you leave our system peacefully. But know this, Earth will fight. We will not bow. We will not surrender. Take your choice wisely. The words spread through the Zor ships. Officers turned to one another, whispers and murmurs spreading like wildfire. For the first time, the Zor had to think. They had to consider the humans not as weaklings, not as a species to crush easily, but as a force united, ready, and unyielding. Finally, after a long moment, the first signs of retreat appeared. A few smaller ships disengaged, engines glowing as they moved backward. Then larger vessels followed, slowly, carefully, as if unwilling to leave but afraid to stay. The Titan did not fire. It did not pursue. Its presence alone had achieved victory. General Kor seethed in anger and disbelief. He had never been bested by hesitation alone. He had conquered entire worlds with fire and weapons. Yet here he was, forced to retreat before a single human shot had been fired. On the Titan, Captain Myra allowed herself a small smile. Her officers looked at her with quiet pride. Humanity had shown that courage, unity, and resolve could stop even the mightiest fleet. They had sent a message that would echo across the stars. The Titan returned to orbit above Jupiter for a moment of calm. Crew members whispered to each other, some laughing softly, some crying quietly. They had witnessed the first victory of humanity not through destruction, but through presence, spirit, and the refusal to bow. Across Earth, billions watched as the Zor fleet withdrew. The news spread quickly, filling the world with hope and pride. Humanity had been tested, and for the first time, they had proven themselves capable of standing against the universe itself. Captain Myro looked out at the stars, the Titan still glowing against the darkness. The war was not over, but humanity had changed the rules of engagement. They had shown the universe that humans would not be conquered lightly, and that any who tried would learn the price of underestimating the spirit of Earth. And so, the Titan remained a symbol, a guardian, and a warning. Humanity had survived its first great test among the stars, and the Zor would never forget it. The universe had seen the strength of Earth, and the story of courage and unity would travel far beyond the Sol system. Humanity had stood tall, and the stars had noticed.